Hello, my name is Ralph Ferrett and I'm the Chair of the Youth Advisory Committee. Shortly, the nominations for the YAC for the next executive year are going to open. And as many of you have said to us, you're unsure of exactly what the role entails, we thought we would record this video to tell you a little bit more about what's going to be involved. Now, the first thing that you're going to need to know if you want to stand for the YAC is that you will need to attend a number of meetings. The YAC meets 4 times a year, and additionally you would be expected to attend the National Youth Education Event and the National Branch Youth Officers Forum. The first meeting, and maybe the most important meeting of the year, is the inaugural training weekend for the YAC. Now that's going to happen on the weekend of the 25th to the 27th of June, and it's going to take place at the Alverscott Lodge. So if you're going to stand for the YAC, it's really important that you make sure that you're going to be available for that date. Now, additionally, the YAC will have another 3 meetings over the course of the year, one of which will be attached to the National Youth Education Event. The other meetings will be set by you. So it's really important that when you go to the inaugural YAC meeting at the Alverscott, that you're aware of what dates you're going to be available for, because the principal responsibility of YAC members is to attend the 4 meetings a year. And given that we're going to allow you to set when those meetings are, there's a really high expectation that everyone will be able to attend all of the 4 meetings. In terms of work, there are certain things that all YAC members are going to be expected to do. The Youth Advisory Committee tends to have a number of work streams. These are areas of interest that the YAC decides it would like to work on over the course of the year. And different members of the Youth Advisory Committee will be assigned to different work streams based on what interests them and what skills that they have. So, for example, we usually have a comms work stream, and they're the people who have the principal responsibility for putting together the youth magazine. Additionally, we've in the past worked on things like affordable housing, green campaigns, so on and so forth. Now these work streams, what we do, are decided by you at the inaugural weekend. And what will happen is these will run over the course of the year, and we'll expect people to report back to the YAC at the YAC meetings. Additionally, the Youth Advisory Committee has a number of commitments to other bodies, where members of the Youth Advisory Committee will represent the Communication Workers Union in those areas. For example, we're entitled to send delegates to Young Labour, so if there are members of the YAC who fulfil the age criteria, who are members of the Labour Party, they would be able to go to that forum and represent the CWU there. Additionally, we're entitled to representatives to the TUC Young Members Forum, to the STUC Young Members Forum, to the Irish Young Members Forum, and to the Welsh TUC Young Members Forum. And so, depending on where you're from, you may be expected to represent the CWU in those areas. Also, we're a member of UNI, that's the Global Union, and we send a delegate to their steering committee, and also when they have conferences we send a number of young delegates. So there's some other things that you might have to think about in terms of things that you have to do. Now, comms, I spoke about earlier. You will all know that we now have this wonderful website, www.cwuyouth.org, which is the principal mechanism of how we're looking to communicate with our young members. The whole idea of the CW Youth website is that it will be driven by user-generated content. That's stuff that ordinary young members of the CW write, rather than professional writers or outside people. Now, what we hope is that everybody who is a young member of the CW and a young activist will want to try and contribute. But it's very much expected that those people who stand for and are elected to the YAC, the National Youth Committee of the CWU, will take a more proactive role of that. And to that end, you need to know that if you are elected to the YAC, you will be expected to, at a minimum, write 1 story or blog for the youth website every month. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to be War and Peace, and we accept that some people will have different levels of experience in terms of writing, but something about your experiences as a member of the YAC or about some issue that you feel passionately about once a month. And this could be a really long blog, but it could also be just 2 paragraphs saying you went to this thing or you went to that thing. And that's something that everybody is going to have to do. Also, as you will all know, the YES project has ended. Steve Ratcliffe has moved on to another role. So there's going to be an important part of the YAC's role in the coming year is to try and help work with and support regional youth committees. Now what will happen is everybody who's elected to the YAC will have a link with at least one of the regional youth committees where they'll be expected to act as a sort of point of contact, a conduit of information to pass information from the regional youth committee to the YAC and vice versa. Now it doesn't necessarily have to be an onerous task, but it does mean that you're going to be somebody who's going to be expected to be available to speak to other people. Now those are some of the things in terms of what we're going to expect you to do. I think one thing that we have to be really honest with people and tell them when they're standing for the YAC is there is no release time attached to the role. If you sign up for the YAC and you get elected, you're not going to have a proportion of time in your working week which is given to you to do the work associated with the role. So there's a degree of volunteerism. Although we will obviously arrange for you to be released from work when you have to attend meetings, you're not necessarily going to get time in work time to do the work. And some people have to be aware of this because it can come as a bit of a culture shock. So we think it's better to tell people right from the start. That's not to say that this can't be arranged. If you require some time to do the work, then if you speak to whoever you vote as the chair of the YAC or Simon, or speak to your branch or regional secretary, there may be some stuff we can do. But you need to understand that isn't something that comes as standard with the role. What we will hope to do is provide for you all the kind of training and support that you need to be able to do these things. And just because you maybe think you need a little bit of development in one of these areas shouldn't necessarily be a reason not to stand. Because part of our job and part of the leadership of the YAC that you're going to elect's job will be to support you in doing this role and make sure that you have all the necessary skills. And the inaugural weekend that's happening in June at the Alvescott Lodge will be to just make sure that you do have the skills to do all of this kind of thing. I've been on the YAC for 2 years. I've been lucky enough to be both the Vice Chair and the Chair of the Youth Advisory Committee, and I must say I highly recommend to everybody considering standing. It's been an incredibly rewarding and interesting job for me, and I think I've developed skills and I'm a much better representative for what I've done. I think that the members I represent in the workplace get a better job out of me now than they did before I developed my skills and honed them as a member of the YAC. And I really hope that everybody will, if you're thinking that this might be something you want to do give it a go. The YAC is a little bit short on numbers this year, and there's at least one person, me, retiring on the grounds of age, meaning there will be opportunities for brand new people to get elected to the YAC for the first time. And ultimately what I'd say is, if you've watched this video and you think you're able to do all of the things we've spoken about, or you think you will be able to do all the things we've spoken about with the proper training, then do stand. Don't be shy about this, don't be reticent about it, give it a go, because it's a really important thing to do. We're the future of this trade union, but we're also the now, and we need to be able to, as young members, have a say on what goes on. And the way we have a say is by engaging with the YAC, regional youth committees and being branch youth officers. And I hope people will consider standing for the YAC, because it's a really interesting and rewarding role. If you've got any more questions, please do contact us. Most of you will know my telephone number. You can contact us, you can visit the youth website, www.cwyouth.org, or you can email us at headquarters at the following email address, youth@cw.org. So if you've got any thoughts, any questions, do contact us. But in the meantime, I hope you all stand for the YAC. I hope we have a good election, and I wish you all the best and good luck for next year.